Hi and welcome to Read by Red. I'm Red and today I'm going to be reading some r/malicious compliance. Are you ready? Okay, let's get into it. Only wear items of clothing that the school allows? No problem, Mr. Nonce. I was a one-man army against school policy at my school. A lot of the policy was harmful towards poorer students. Just did not make sense and my spectrum brain couldn't handle the stupidity. One time, I didn't want to go to school because my shoes had holes in them. My mum let me wear my trainers and sent me with a note, but she had bad handwriting, so they thought I faked it. One of the teachers started quoting the dress code at me and threw away my note when I gave it to them. They brought me some manky shoes from the lost and found and tried to make me wear them, so I straight out told them to F off. It pissed him off, so he tried to grab my foot and force one on. So I screamed, "Sir's a nonce! Sir's a nonce! And he's inappropriately touching me!" And while the other students found it hilarious, he didn't, so I got an in-school suspension. He ran the isolation wing, so I ended up going and sitting in his room with him and some others. But the ridiculousness of the whole thing made me completely delusioned with his authority. Him throwing away my note and grabbing my foot made me fully convinced he didn't give a crap about the policy he was enforcing, so why should I? I started swinging in my chair and singing loudly and he told me to stop, so I told him to F off. He asked if I wanted to be sent home, so I said, "No crap, I wanted to be sent home. That's where all my games and stuff were." He said I was there to learn the rules, so sit down and shut up. And I said if I was there for breaking the rules, why the F would I follow them now? He said that kind of talk would end up putting me in prison, so I said, "So would touching kids, you effing nonce!" That was the last straw, and he sent me home for the day. I spent the day brushing up on school policy. Turns out, for a uniform violation, you're supposed to get a warning. I came back the next day wearing the wrong jumper. He yelled at me. I showed him the policy. He warned me and said he didn't want to see any jumper or shoes that weren't school uniform. So I came back next day wearing different trousers. He yelled at me again, so naturally I asked him to be specific about what he wanted me to wear. He said if it was in the school policy I could wear it. Great, I started coming in gym clothes and trainers. The same trainers from before. Turns out there's a whole separate uniform for gym days, and most people change on the day, but there's no rule that says you have to or that you can't wear the uniform on other days. He tried to take me to see the head teacher when he saw me, thinking it was grounds for expulsion. But I was an otherwise good kid grades-wise, so the head teacher asked why I wasn't complying. I said I was just simply confused about the policy. The headmaster took some time to explain it to me while I patiently waited for him to finish. Then I innocently inquired as to what the school's policy was around destruction of personal property or touching other students below the belt. Apparently, it's absolutely not allowed, not even a note. Asked if the same rules applied to teachers. It did. So I turned round and asked the other teacher, "So why did you put your hands on me and try and physically force me to change? And why did you destroy my note?" Headmaster looked at the teacher. Teacher looked at me, then him, then me. Headmaster asked for the room, so I stepped outside. Don't really know what was said, but there was about 10 minutes of yelling, and then I was invited back in. Headmaster asked for the full story, so I gave it to him, including my insubordination, etc. And the whole time the headmaster was shooting daggers at the other teacher. Turns out the teacher didn't have nearly as much authority as he claimed he did. When he sent students home, he'd been altering their files and marking them as absent for the day, and had been going behind the headmaster's back to dole out extra punishments. Nobody else had questioned his authority before because he was a bit of a bully, and I'd been the first one stubborn enough to call him on his BS. He didn't get fired, but he got some kind of formal warning, and I was allowed to keep wearing gym clothes as a special exception on mental health grounds. Looking back, I'm fairly confident that it was a bribe so we wouldn't sue or report the teacher, lol. Oh my god. That teacher really shouldn't be in a school setting. That's disgusting. That's really disgusting. Okay, here is our next story. Won't let me delay my speech because I'm ill? No problem. A few years ago in my second year of college, I took a speech class that was required to graduate. Before this incident, I had no problems with the professor. I had the highest grade in the class and all my conversations with her had been pleasant. Then Thanksgiving break happens. I leave to go home for the week and come down with this nasty illness. I was later diagnosed with a sinus infection, an ear infection, and bronchitis all at the same time. I don't want to give details, but it was bad. Knowing that I had to give my final speech for this class the Tuesday after break, I emailed my professor explaining just how ill I was and asked if I could give my speech on Thursday instead of Tuesday. Half the class was going on Tuesday, the other half on Thursday, so I figured that this wouldn't be a problem. The professor emails back and says that I have two options: show up to the class sick on Tuesday and give my speech as I am, or go to the doctor on Tuesday and get a doctor's note, then do my speech on Thursdays. But if I did this option, my grade would be deducted for missing class, as well as she would give me the minimum of B for my speech instead of A. Based on the language of her email, she clearly expected me to go to the doctor and miss class, dropping my grade. Cue the malicious compliance. Tuesday rolls around, and I show up to class in my full business attire, but with the addition of tissues, cough drops, and a plastic bag. I get up to give my speech, and my illness is in full swing. I could tell that she looked disgusted, and at this point clearly regretted telling me that I had to come to class. She very clearly did not think I was as sick as I was, and thought that I was just looking to BS her to get an extension. This professor was certainly proved wrong that day. After class gets out, I finally go to the doctor, learn that I have the trifecta, sinus infection, ear infection, and bronchitis, get scolded by the doctor for going to class the day before, and get told not to attend class for the rest of the week. Professor ended up giving me an A on the assignment and never gave me any trouble about late assignments because of my illness for the rest of the semester. I just had bronchitis, and it lasted for about a month, and it was so awful. So I can't imagine how bad you felt with also an ear infection and a sinus infection. Oh my god. Okay, here's the next one. Bank wanted $5 for paying a $10 bill. So, one fine day when the sun was shining and I had some spare money, I stopped by at my bank to pay a bill. This was before any kind of internet banking. The bill was for $10 and I had that in cash in my wallet. When it was my turn, I step up to the counter and hand the guy there the bill and my $10. He replied, "That will be a $5 processing fee." To which I explained, "What?" And he clarified that when paying bills with cash, it's a $5 processing fee. So, dumbfounded, I stood there for several seconds thinking, that's insanity and way too much of the bill's cost. I realized he'd specified with cash. So I asked him, "How much does it cost to pay a bill from my bank account?" And he replied, "That's for free." After thinking for a second, I also asked him, "And how much does it cost to deposit some money into my bank account?" Which he replied, "That's also free." I mulled this information over for a moment, then told him, "I would like to deposit this $10 into my account." I handed him my ID and my bank account details. He had a small smile and said, "Yes, sir." Then I told him, "I would like to pay this bill from my account." At which point he started laughing and said, "Yes, sir." And that's how I paid a $10 bill without having to pay $5 for the pleasure. I did have money in the account to cover the bill, but that was marked for other expenses. This way I could pay the bill for free and still have the same balance on the account. I'm guessing the bank teller also thought that policy was stupid. I hope you enjoyed those r/malicious compliance stories read by me, Red. Please give the video a like if you did enjoy them, and don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so that you can watch my videos every day as I publish them. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good day. Bye.